Okay, now I'm on YouTube. All right. So give me a moment. What happened was StreamYard disconnected Facebook. Hey, thanks for being here. And and so that was one. Let me get my reading glasses so I could see. All right, but we're going to be here for the hour or so. So don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. I'll tell you that much. Copied. I'm going to send this again to Derrick. I don't know if he got it or not. Make sure he's getting the right one. All right. Man, I can't see nothing. But thanks for being here. I'm just chilling now. And we are going to get into it. We're going to get into housing homeless veterans. I mean, people think that housing homeless veterans is somebody else's um, thing to do, right? Is somebody else's um, problem. Other people can create solutions, but you can't, because sorry about that. Put this right here. Because you can't figure it out. But I'm here to tell you, everyone can do it. Who has a plan and a purpose and a mission. You heard me first, right? A plan and a purpose and a mission. Oh, I don't like that. Make me look like I'm little. I'm 5'9". So my name is Yvette Jones-Swanson, and I am the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, Realtor, Consultant, and I am certified with the SBA, my business VetMentors, and I am verified by the VA. And I've been conducting housing opportunities for veterans and the community for over 22 years. I just haven't come out and told anybody that publicly, because to me it was nobody's business other than those who mattered, and that was within the VA system. So I came out and every time I say that, I'm like, okay, it sounds like I really, came out the closet. But to me, that is the way it feels. I came out to share this information and to share this knowledge with the public, because it is a major concern. And now that I am in the public with this information on how to effectively house homeless veterans, and people ask a lot, what does I ask that a lot, not just people will come and tell me all the time, Yvette, I want to do veterans housing. And I'm perplexed. I know you're not, but I am, because you're not telling me anything. It's like for a woman, pardon me, and I'm going to use this analogy because I'm about to put on some lipstick. But for the analogy for a woman, I want some lipstick. Okay, what does that mean? What? It's a lot of shades. It's a lot of manufacturers that make this stuff. Do you want vegan lipstick? Do you want matte lipstick? Do you want glossy lipstick? I mean, so when a person tells me, Yvette, I want to do veterans housing, where are you going with that? what does that actually mean? You know, I see a lot of people saying, oh, you can do veterans housing, you can do veterans shared living, co-living. Yeah, you can do that, but where are you going with that? I see, and I pay to attend other professionals master classes in co-living and shared living and what's the other ones they call it independent living. I've paid and watched all of their videos, all of their master classes, and I watch a lot of them. And you know, I'm not downing anybody, because all types of housing is needed. But what we do here as government knowledge professionals is help set up your housing where you will receive funding and veterans. So now you don't have to go out looking for all of these veterans to come to your shared housing. It could be temporary shared housing, or it could be permanent shared housing. If it's temporary shared housing, guess what? In order for you to align yourself with the government, you have to know how to get aligned with the government in order to get the funding and the veterans. But what does that look like, Yvette? Well, I'm not here to tell you that. I am going to share that with you, exactly what it looks like, because this is not a master class. This is really an informational and sharing of knowledge through education. And this would be the book that you can go to my bio and get. This one is the Veteran Shared Housing Model. I have a library of books for the veterans community, for those who say, I want to do veterans housing. I want to help veterans get housed. How can AI make a difference for homeless veterans in real time? Get the books. I teach you how to do that in these books. It's like 99% of your questions are found in my books. So let me put on my readers. These are not just readers. These are my VA prescription glasses. How can AI really make a difference for homeless veterans in real time? So let me show you that book. In over 22 years, this is what I've been doing without AI. And now AI is here for everybody to learn, and I teach you in all of my publications. So get this book, Finding Home. This is how AI can help homeless veterans in real time access resources anywhere in the country. And my partner just got on. And we're going to go deep, deep, deep. Let me see how I can set you guys up. Hold on. And we're not going to take too many questions until the end. But I do want to get you guys over here, because this is so amazing to watch. And you know what? If you all are here on TikTok, go to YouTube. But yeah, go to YouTube, and then you can see both of us. And without further ado, I'm bringing my partner. Oh my gosh.
What's going on?
Is the other yin to my yang. Let me get this set up so everybody can see what we're talking about over here. Hey, Mr. Green, Derrick Green,
Yes,
go ahead
ma'am.
and take over the show. Go ahead and take over right now, and then I will come back and we can resume this so we can clear up everybody's misconceptions about this veterans housing, homeless veterans housing. Go ahead.
Hello.
Take over. Okay, introduce yourself and all that good stuff.
Well, can you hear me? Let's see.
Yes,
Can you
very
hear?
well.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. I am Derrick Green. I actually bring in the procurement side of this. However, due to working for the VA for many years, I also bring a lot of expertise in the supportive services for veterans and families aspect, which include the housing of homeless vets, but also from the actual contracting side. A lot of people don't know that they can act if you actually set up your program properly. You can act, you, not only do you qualify for supportive services for veterans based funding, that is currently a five. Let's see, there's more than $5 billion in funding for that right now. However, whenever your property becomes designated and you are actually running a successful program simply means that you are recognized in the community. Your property has been designated as a resource in the with respect in the SSVF community. You can then also be considered for the procurement pipeline. But of course, as Yvette will tell you, that's going to always be program based. We had a conversation about that this morning while we were literally on a call and both working out at the same time, right? But um, that is the reason that the program aspect is important, as Yvette has probably told many of you millions of times, is because everything is based on the program. And programs basically say that it shows you're answering a problem. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, whenever there's a problem, whenever there are problems, we have to build programs around answering that problem, right? You know what I mean? It's just like any program that's going to be associated with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or any program that is going to be tied to justice involved citizens, or programs that are tied to Department of Defense. You know what I mean? When we say programs, think about what a program means. A program is an initiative that is tied. It's going to be any initiative that's based on solving a problem. So, for example, what are some program based problems with veterans? Think about military sexual trauma. It affects all veterans, male and female. However, most commonly female with females in the military. Think about TBI, traumatic brain injury. Think about PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. Think about and just think about all of the various things that causes transitional issues. For example, I tell people all the time, sometimes you have veterans who just deal with chronic homelessness. Chronic homelessness, nothing's wrong with them. No issues. The only issue is that they are a person who got out of the military with beautiful credentials. They're just like me and you, but for whatever reason, they just cannot catch a break in life. So they fall on hard times, and they remain in these chronic hardship situations. There are even programs based around that as well. So that being said, whenever you have a program-based facility and you show the intent to scale, you can also there are pathways for you to also be a part of the procurement pipeline. What is procurement? That is the system by which government contracts are created.
Okay. You said a whole mouthful.
I know, right?
They're like, what? I hope you guys have something to write on and to write with, because, or you're going to come back and view this video, because there's a lot of nuggets that Derrick has just shared with you all, and that's something you're going to need to know.
Right.
So, Derrick, you mentioned you mentioned these programs, and I'm gonna talk about how that looks as well with homeless veterans housing, because people ask us, they tell us, they don't ask, they tell us, I want to do veterans housing. I'm like, that just it takes the wind out of me because there's so much to unpack when we're talking about veterans housing. Because if you don't have the right structure, the right structure to have your programs run your veterans housing model, then you have nothing. Before you came on, I was just talking about watching various paying for and attending various master classes of these gurus in the community who are doing housing, co-living, independent housing, shared housing, and they got to find all those people. They got to keep going, keep going, keep going. But what Derrick and I do, and how we consult and mastermind train individuals who are interested in this veterans housing, is through education and knowledge. Yep. I'm gonna show the people something, and I show them this every single day. Because everybody who says, Yvette, I want to do veterans housing, first of all, you guys got to get this book. Because I don't just talk to people just to be talking to people. You got to go get Innovative Housing Solutions, a guide to veterans shared living models. So this book is your first step to understanding veterans housing, shared living models, whether that's transitional or permanent, because you can't have shared living models for veterans to live there until they expire. You've got senior veterans, you've got disabled veterans. They don't have families, so where are they going to live? But then who's going to be paying for this? You know, if you're going to try and say, well, I'm going to have them pay because they get money every month. Okay, that's good. That's your model. But what we're talking about here is your model being aligned with government funding. That's the difference.
That's right.
That's
and I think got some questions too.
Right. Hold on. Let's see. Let's show this $900 million outside of the how much billions, Derrick?
Outside of the 5.44, so it was 3.2 billion, right? That's the initial SSVF budget. Then it's 5.4 billion for the VA modernization budget. Now here's how that's relevant, because that 5.4 billion that goes to VA modernization. Someone asked a question in the chat about AI.
Okay,
right?
wait, let me come back. Let me pull it up on here. This one right here.
Yes. Bradley Pump. Do you think AI can reshape the entire housing system for veterans? Well, yes and no. Think about this. What AI does, it's being integrated. AI is being integrated to help shape the evaluation criteria and compliance metrics by which the programs are implemented. So it's not going to actually reshape the housing system. It's just going to modernize. The way we're able to obtain resources for the housing systems. One, and it's also going to add more convenience factors with regard to the metrics by which the compliance standards are shaped and implemented, if that makes sense. Bradley, let me know if you need me to expound on that a bit more, because I'm learning that some of these words like compliance and metrics and things like that goes over people's heads. I'm a former contracting and procurement officer, so I'm just speaking my language. But if I need to break that down into layman's terms, let me know.
Right. Okay. Let me add the resource side to that, because you alluded to it. It's speeding up how veterans access resources, because veterans don't know. We don't know what we have access to until we know what's out there. But how do you find those resources? And he wanted to know, do you think AI can reshape the entire housing system for veterans? So let me get this book, because I have a whole library of books for the veterans community. And before AI, Derrick, before AI, I was doing this, finding resources for homeless veterans outside of HUD-VASH and within the SSVF foundational financial landscape, because veterans don't know about these SSVF organizations and about the funding that they have access to, because the social workers send them right back out the door with their black plastic bags because they're homeless. So they're not putting them in touch with all the resources that they have access to. And because I was putting them in touch with those resources for over 20 years, when AI came on the scene, I went national with helping veterans find housing, incorporating AI. I helped a homeless veteran in Hawaii find housing with the resources I sent her. And that's in this book. And that teaches the community how to do the same thing. And veterans. So veteran, I'm not expecting a homeless veteran to buy a book, but if you have a homeless veteran in your family or in your community, in your church, in your wherever, you get this book and you learn how to access whatever, because we got so many benefits. I'm just floored every time I pull up some for Las Vegas, for South Carolina, everywhere. And this teaches you how to do it. So with those resources, that equates to the money that Derrick is talking about. That's that money to be used.
That's right.
Who else do we have? Go ahead. Question.
How do you see this project evolving over the next few years?
I don't know what project he's talking about, but we can.
Clive, if you're still on the line, can you rephrase that question, please?
Thank you. And then we have, what feedback have you received from veterans after reading this guide? Okay, I can answer that. And this is a guide to veterans shared living models. I have a group right now. I think it's Derrick. I don't want to say 91, but I think it's 91.
Yeah.
So and those are just the ones who follow directions, because everybody who buy any of my books, they are invited to a private group. And in my private group, I've received several positive remarks, and two of the women have already started the process of opening their veteran shared model home.
Right now, and that when I'm now in Danny's question, he said, "What feedback have you received from veterans?" Also too, right? So here's the question: if Danny is still on the line, I want to make sure that he understands that the book is for people who want to provide, they want to provide shelter or supportive services for veterans. So I think that question, Danny, I think a better question to ask would be, what feedback have you received from those who have read the book and they want to build a veteran community? Or, when we say community, that could be one house, it could be 10 houses. Community meaning basically they want to build something to help house homeless vets, right? So I think the question would be directed towards the people who need the book, so that they can provide, so that they can help solve the problem for the veterans. as opposed to the veterans themselves. Now, if it's a veteran-owned business that wants to provide housing for veterans, then I think that would make the question more relevant to the actual book. Am I correct, Yvette?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we've got some people over here on TikTok. Caitlin is watching us on TikTok. Hey, Caitlin. And Caitlin was one of our clients for the hotel build out for veterans shared housing, transitional housing, to come and engage in the program, whatever program that's set up to receive those federal funds, to not only pay for that veteran to live there, but also pay those programmers who are offering those programs of what job they could be. Let me get the list. Hold on a second, because I can't remember everything. That's why I print stuff out. I'm old school like that. So this money, this is $818 million in grants. Right here, $818 million in grants that has been awarded to 235 organizations across the country to help veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. So it says it right here, clear as day. Let me go back. VA awards grants based on a number of factors, and this is where the money is, including the grant recipient's experience and past performance. So it's not going to be, I'm going to do veteran shared housing and I want my grant money right away. Past performance. Okay, so we help you through all of that to earn that past performance knowledge. Okay, hold on. Well, let me finish.
Yeah, I want to speak to that when you come back to that one.
Okay, write it down so you won't forget. In providing supportive services to veteran families and the need in the area or community where the program will be based throughout the fiscal year for 2026. The grants will fund the local organizations as they help veterans access housing. So if you have housing and these program organizations or these grant recipients here need your housing to house the veterans that they've received the grant for, then who else is getting paid? Who else is getting paid? Right. You as the housing provider. Now, what else do they look for? What else does this grant money pay for? It pays for housing and housing counseling. So while you're providing this temporary based housing, you can also provide a housing counseling program. Because what we want to see when we consult with our clients who have this pre-knowledge, then you can help them buy a house, help them understand the steps to buying a house. That's this book right here. They also, this money also covers healthcare, financial planning services, childcare, legal assistance, and transportation. These are all programs tied to housing. And then I'm only going to take another 30 seconds. And then the government said, oh, that's not enough. We want to provide an additional 176 organizations because the need is out there for housing and for these programs. Well, then they granted an additional $84 million. That's this money right here that people don't know about, because all they say is, I want to do veterans housing. Go ahead, Derrick.
That's good. Yeah. And now that, so look, what's funny is I do remember exactly what I wanted to say, but you dropped so many gems, and I want to speak to all of those. But I'll go back to the past performance piece. So a lot of people when you say past performance, right? A lot of people think that that's going to automatically disqualify them. Now, for those watching, past performance, that actually originates from the procurement side. So think about if you're going after a government contract, right? Whether it's in housing, logistics, anything. One of the things that the gatekeepers or us procurement officers and contracting officers look for is past performance. Now, it's interesting they use that same lingo as Yvette was reading about as she was reading about the grant per diem for the basically for those who want to receive the grants, right? That's basically what they're saying is that money is not going to just automatically go to someone who jumps up one morning and say, "Oh, I see a new money grab, so I want to house homeless vets." The reason why they want to see past performance is because that shows that you have some type of equity, skin in the game. It shows you have some. It shows that you have some type of reputation of already doing this. You have basically you're already. It shows you're already. Oh, what's a good way to put this? That shows that you already have some type of insight, some type of experience that shows that you are vested in this. You actually care about this. You are an actual problem solver, and you're not just coming into this as some type of sophisticated hustler who knows all of the right things to say, but you don't really have anything backing it. You don't have any type of equity to actually back it up, right? The reason this is important to us is because we're both veterans. Yvette's a veteran, I'm a veteran. And we have both been through the ups and downs, the hardships, to the point where we needed these programs.
Yes.
So past performance can be communicated so many different ways, right? Just because you don't have past performance yourself, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're disqualified. That's where people like Yvette and myself comes in. Those are the people who can actually function as your experience mechanism. So I can speak to this from the standpoint of being a former contracting and procurement officer, right? Past performance could be that you have experience doing this successfully, or you've decided to be intelligent enough to partner up with someone who already understands the compliance metrics by which these programs are awarded. That also counts as past performance. It's all about having someone on your team or someone within your organization who understands how to set the compliance metrics and answer incidentals when they happen. That's why they say past performance. They want to understand that the people you have in place doing this, whether that's you or someone on your team, they're experienced enough to understand government programs, whether that be SSVF, procurement, contracting, all of those things that will qualify you to understand how incidentals need to be answered. That means that, once again, that could be you, someone in your organization, or anyone who already understands the project management, program management, or consulting aspect of how this game goes.
Yeah, because nobody can do this by themselves. Nobody. Nobody has all the right pieces. You're going to need, when you look at government contracts, when you not the contracts, but the solicitations, what are they called, Derrick?
That's it. Solicitations, it could be an RFP, request for proposal, could be an ITB, invitation to bid. They come in many different ways. Could be an RFI, request for information, sources sought. All of the different ways all of the different methods. By the way, these are procurement terms we're talking about now. All of the different solicitations that the government published to see who's out there to answer these problems.
Right. So, and when you look at those solicitations and all those other 3-letter letters,
acronyms, those acronyms.
Thank you. to invite a business to complete the paperwork, you're going to see that you're going to need this person with this profession, this person with this profession. I mean, I was on a source on 3 sources sought, and it was like 5 people on that sources sought. Nobody could do what I do. I couldn't do what they do. So not one person can do veterans housing. You're going to need experts in the fields that are on this sources sought or RFQ or everything else. And that's
Yvette, I'll tell you, I don't know how many emails I've received, whether it's the government contracting side or the housing homeless veteran side. Right? I don't know how many emails I get with people attempting to do this as a one-man, one-woman show. Look, a lot of times I'm I'm straightforward, but a lot of times I have to tell them that you do understand you're going to need a team. You're going to need, because you have to think about this. You're not going to, you can't be the person, you can't be the person who handles every aspect of every incidental.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to have you need somebody who understands how to set up the compliance systems, how to set up policies, right? Because that's the language of the government, policies. Well, how do you set up policies? How if I want to house homeless veterans, how do I set up policies?
Exactly.
Well, I'll give you a quick little gem. I tell people this all the time. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is ask myself, what is it I want to do? What program do I want to answer? Going back to that word, right? Let's say if I want to house veterans with traumatic brain injury. So, what differentiator that I have in my business? What is it about me that stands out from everyone else that wants to do that? Right? Well, I'm going to find a way to talk about that in writing. Now I'm going to tie that into my understanding of people with traumatic brain injury, their needs, and then we're going to need to take all of that and find a way to bridge that with the regulations, the VA regulations, your CFRs, the USC, all of the different governing bodies. When we say governing bodies, we're talking about the regulations. We're talking about the compliance metrics. That means the CFRs, Code of Federal Regulations, USD, United States Code, the VA regulations, right? We need something in our organization that speaks to those various governing bodies with regard to how they manage SSVF programs, how they implement those programs. So we're drawing a bridge between those regulations and the uniqueness of what we do and which veteran problem we want to answer. Now, that sounds like a whole lot, right? That's why you need a team.
Yeah. Derrick, what's your email address?
It's Derrick.Green@skyprojectmanagement.com.
You should have been typing this, and that's a long name. Hold on. Hold on.
It's just how it sounds. Skyprojectmanagement.com. That's the good thing about it.
I know, but it's a lot of keystrokes.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. So now here's in terms of another thing I want to add. Right? It's interesting. I had a conversation with someone a few days ago, and I always tell them, "What is your venture capital plan?"
Ooh, now you're getting down to the meat and potatoes.
And people don't understand why I ask this question. Why? Well, I was a procurement officer. I was an insider. I was a gatekeeper. The reason that is important.
I know why you asked that question, because it's the same reason why some veterans ask me why you want to know. They think we're being nosy about what they're working with. And we have nothing to share. Go ahead.
Yeah, because capital equals capacity.
Keep talking.
If you have no capital, you have no capacity. So the reason why I always tell folks, okay, it's good that you have great intentions, it's good that you have knowledge, but the reason you want some type of venture capital plan in place is because there is going to be a period where you need to float some capital as you are ramping up your program. Also, let's say you want to transition from being a traditional SSVF uh, facility to being a contract holder. Well, guess what?
Yes.
Guess what those procurement officers are going to ask for? There's a partner process that we call gate check. This is when we're shaping the evaluation criteria and setting the competitive range. We will need to know that you either have the capital or capacity to pull this off, or you can get some type of banking letter, some type of letter from a reputable financial institution that shows that you have the ability to go and get the capital or the capacity. We need to see some kind of proof that you have the capacity to pull this off.
Yes.
And 5 people with good ideas does not equate to capacity.
Oh yeah, we had a one. Oh my goodness, this was when we had first gotten started in consulting. Just because the person told us they want to do veterans housing, and we were on the phone. Remember in those early days? And we
Yes.
were on the
Yes.
phone just listening to people wanting to do veterans housing, but had no framework, no knowledge, except that we have some doors that we want to open. And it was exhausting. And then want to know how we can help them get some money, how we can help some other ones acquire the property. Well, I want to speak to that. We are not in the position of starting your business for you. When you come to us, if you have no knowledge, first of all, I want you to go and buy some books. And Derrick's book will be out in December.
Yes.
December 2025. Okay. So you get these for your programming and knowledge of, and information for the community. And then when you have a conversation with us, then we can speak with you more on an equalized level, not the whole level, but you know what I'm saying. You read a book or two or three.
You're positioned to ask better questions.
Exactly. More intelligent questions. Because I can't do any. And I tell my followers don't call me, because if you haven't read anything that I teach, then we have nothing to talk about. I don't want to know what you know right now. I want what you know in alignment with what I know. And then we can have a conversation on where you want to go and how we can get you there with these contracts with Derrick. I'm your first stop. Derrick, he can't take you to get these contracts without having your program set up. You don't know how to set up a program. Where you gonna go?
That's right.
Where?
Am I pointing? Yeah, that's right. Am I pointing at you right now? Am I pointing at you? I know sometimes
No, the other way. The other way. I'm pointing
like
so
this?
that way. Yes, now we're pointing at each other.
That's right. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so we're the yin to the yang, each other's yin and yang. You want to do veterans housing? You know, it's one simple way that you can do veterans housing without having programs. And you can utilize a federal program, which is Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher. This is the one for Chicago. So that's simple. You don't need Derrick. You just get with me and we go over this, and you rent your place to a veteran who has a Section 8 voucher. as an investor.
Yeah.
But if you want to do veterans housing as a program, then you need Derrick too. You're going to need me, and then you're going to need Dad. Which way? That way. Then you're going to
Yes,
need Derrick.
yes,
Okay?
yes, yes. I'm at your left shoulder. Yep.
Okay, got it. Right, you
Oh
got
yeah,
it.
I think if they have it reversed, I guess, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, for our words to be right.
I see,
You got to get your
Yeah.
banner. You got to get your banner, baby. Sky acquisition.
I actually have I got my banner on my YouTube page, and I have my my logo. I don't have it. I just didn't put it in the, I guess the.
I'm saying for your back wall. You see all of these back here? Put up your accolades. Put up your accolades.
I know, right? I'm old school. I just talk, but I do need to put everything up. I do need to put it.
Yeah,
I sure will.
What this is right here, that's the picture of me when I was in the military with my buddies. This is a yard sign. So those companies that make the yard signs that you see on the side of the road, contact them. This guy who makes all of my signs, $15. Nice. Probably could get it cheaper, but I know him and I trust him. So get that, decorate that back. And I like that new logo you have. Come on. You inspired me to do my logo over.
I love it. I love it. It speaks to the people we serve. I love it. I love it. Yes. I love it. Yep. I love it. To me, that is way better than a lot of the ideas I see people come up with, because you want to speak to the people you serve. We serve the government so that they can serve our fellow veterans,
Exactly. So we talk about so much. What are some things that you'd like to share about your, let's talk about our backgrounds and how we got here. Because we just didn't pop up on the scene as these well-educated, informed, and intelligent professionals talking about homeless veterans. Who does that?
Right.
So how did you get here?
Ooh, well, if we want to talk about the homeless veteran side, I was a homeless veteran at one point. In fact, a full-time single dad at the same time. When I was a homeless veteran, and so, I never forget, what was interesting about it is I went through surgery after having already served in the executive channels in federal procurement and acquisitions. For those who don't know that, in the federal government, acquisitions and procurement, the word is used interchangeably. Usually in the federal government, they say acquisitions. When you hear procurement, it's typically talking about contracting for city and municipalities and state. Federal government, you're going to hear the term acquisitions more than procurement. But I digress. So anyway, I went through a very complicated neurosurgery that was tied to a wartime injury. Fell down during Operation Iraqi Freedom. I didn't realize that I had a slow injury that was exasperating over the years. Long story short, had to have surgery. The recovery period was longer than 12 months, which meant the federal government could not cover me with reasonable accommodation. So, lost my job. Had to resign had to use a medical resignation. Which was good because I had an outstanding rating. Now, up until that time, I had served as a procurement and contracting officer. For people who do not understand what that means, basically the gatekeeper of government contracts, meaning the people who who create the evaluation criteria by which contracts are awarded and set the competitive range, ultimately deciding who gets awarded contracts and who gets their loser letter, right? So, but anyway, that being said, after doing that, being very comfortable in that role for many years, I found myself homeless. I then had to learn all of those same SSVF channels, those supportive systems and services that Yvette is here talking about. And guess
Yeah.
what? After Yvette and I met, that that was the thing that triggered me to take my procurement knowledge and learn how to tie it in to the supportive services for veteran families knowledge. Now, look, I had already worked at the VA, so I saw it's funny. I had a lot of hands-on experience. I just did not understand how to frame that in a way to help others do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Yvette was the person who taught me how to do that. Because as a former contracting officer, I already knew and understood how to help people get contracts. In fact, I was on the contracting team in New Orleans under VA Vision number 16, which actually created a contract opportunity for the Veteran Community Bastion. It's a 58 apartment unit community in New Orleans, and we were actually part of that team. But what I did not do, I was not the person who helped set up the actual SSVF portion. That was done before they got to us. They had to have that up and running before they came to the procurement and contracting team. And the
Mm-hmm.
way they got that up and running was talking to those Yvettes out there.
Exactly.
So before they could even get to us, that had to already be functional.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
once that was functional, they showed how it catered to various aspects of homeless veteran needs. Then we were able to say, okay, well, you know what? We can put this project in the procurement pipeline. So that was the trajectory that caused me to be in alignment to where I'm currently sitting today talking with Yvette about not only housing homeless veterans, but helping people like you all, listeners, create a business around your passion, which is to house our fellow veterans.
Exactly. The first step is in this process is knowledge. You cannot jump over anything to jump to the money without prior knowledge. And how I got here, I was a homeless female veteran after serving in boot camp. I experienced military sexual trauma by the hands of my drill sergeant. I mean, and there was nowhere for me to go. Even when they discharged me, I still had a waiting period and I had nowhere to go. So it continued. So imagine that being on a young person's mind from that time at 19 to now 60. That will never go away. That has created the worst PTSD that I can imagine, but it is my power. It is my superpower. So after leaving the military, my father passed away and my mother moved, leaving me and my younger sister to fend for ourselves. And our older, and no shade or shame on them, because people are people. They don't really know how to help until they get the education and the knowledge. So I married young, very young. I married a Marine, a then actively serving Marine. And he was very, very abusive. So where do I go? And I'm a veteran and I have no family that I can turn to because they're like, well, you decided to marry him. You keep going back. Well, I kept going back because I had nowhere else to go.
Yeah, that was what you knew. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were no shared living models that I knew of in the veterans community. I would go to the VA and talk to social workers and case managers, nurses and doctors, everyone I could, because I'm looking for help. I even put police order protection and said, look, he shouldn't be able to come back. I'm not safe in my own home. Who was going to be arrested when I defended myself? Me,
Right.
I don't want to go. Look, so it just kept progressing year after year after year. And I found myself in sleeping in places where people shouldn't even have to sleep. On the buses up and down when I didn't have a car. In my car when I had a car. And it finally ended when I graduated from college, from Columbia College here in Chicago, and got a job working for the city of Chicago in the Department of Revenue. Get this, Derrick, licensing. And they put me over a license category called SRO, single room occupancy. And I said, if I had known about single room occupancies and the 2 part-time jobs that I had before and after school, I could have paid $350 a month. So that stayed in my head all those years, shared living. That's, part of this model, because I did house a lot of homeless veterans in those SROs after I left the city of Chicago.
And
when I
see,
got into housing. And when I went to I got my first apartment out of homelessness, studio apartment, while working for the city. And 4 years later, I was able to buy my own home, but not using a VA loan, but just moving up in life as a civilian, because the VA, they would never help me. I'm like, nobody. I wasn't service connected. That's why I had no money. And people don't understand that too. When you're service connected at a percentage, at 100%, oh, you don't have to be homeless unless you choose to be. And I had 0. So when I became a realtor, I learned, and by default, I didn't say, well, I'm going to house homeless veterans because I'm a realtor. I didn't even know there were homeless veterans. Not until I started housing homeless people. And I was managing 633 units at the time when I met this community of homeless veterans.
And think about that.
And that is right. And that investor, guess what I did for that investor? I brought programs to the buildings. And that investor to this day still has programs in his buildings where the programs are filling up those units. So that's how I got here. And then years later, after COVID, I had COVID really, really, really bad. And I ended up in the hospital having a near-death experience, waking up to a doctor standing over me, praying for me, who happened to be a former homeless veteran who I housed 10 years prior. So God woke me up back to my reality of, you're not done, daughter. And this, what we're doing, and it's shown to me every single day, because so much help is needed in our communities, that it is so much bigger than us. It's so housing homeless veterans and programs is so much bigger than me. Putting people in contracts with these programs and housing is so much bigger than Derrick. We need all of you. You have any interest in housing homeless veterans, if you are an investor, we need to talk to you. So we're not just going to get you on the phone and start talking, but there's a protocol that we have.
And can I, I just came from a cohort in Omaha, Nebraska, which of course is where Warren Buffett is from. We had it was an amazing thing. Dr. Myron Golden was there.
Yes.
And there were a lot of it, which means there were a lot of investors there. And they had a chance to understand. First and foremost, a lot of investors don't even know that this is out. But when I say investors, I'm speaking specifically about institutional investors, because let me tell you something. There are a lot of shade tree investors out there. People who just have some money and they want to operate like a hard money person. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the wrong mindset. Here's why I want to elaborate on this investor piece, because your smart, accredited, and institutional investors There's always a need for you, the institutional investors. There's always a need for you to put your assets, to put your capital into something that has low volatility, into a vehicle with low volatility.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much, well, what makes more sense than putting it into something like this, where your capital, your ROI is protected by pre-allocated funding? Yvette just spent about 10, 15, 20 minutes showing you all of the different sources where funding is coming from. That means this is not speculative. It's not based on market trends. The money is already here to do it, which means when you invest in it, the money is going to come and you're going to see exactly what your dividends are going to be. You're going to see exactly what your ROI is going to be based on the programs you want to serve. So
Exactly.
this is the smartest play because it's not based on market trends. It's not based on anything speculative. And guess what? 80 to 90% of investors fail, by the way. 80 to 90%. Now, my bet would be most of those are hard money people. Because I say it all the time. Hard money people, those are the least intelligent investors out there, and here's why. Because they basically take money and just throw it at things. They throw it at trend, what they believe to be the next trend. They,
Mm-hmm.
instead of understanding the importance of investing in the people, investing in the knowledge, so that you can actually retain talent around that investment. And
Mm-hmm.
what better way to invest in something where the talent is already there to show you exactly how to do it and teach you everything you need to know so that it can be successful? People say, well, is it guaranteed? Yes, it's guaranteed as long as you follow the steps. Because
Right.
there's always a need. Yvette just gave you her story. Imagine that there are hundreds of thousands of more people who wind up in that same situation, just many different ways. That's why the country has set aside billions of dollars to serve this initiative. And to be honest with you, when the federal government create initiatives like this, they're actually hoping that investors are on the front line. Why?
Yeah.
Because investors bring capacity. They bring capacity. Now, those investors bring that capacity. All they need to do is tie with the compliance experts, such as the Yvette. I was about to say one Yvette. Like, I was about to say one of your last names. Do I say Jones or Swanson? But as far as the Yvettes, then the Yvettes, and then the Derricks in terms of the contracting side. Once you've talked to the Yvettes, all right? So I get it. Look, everyone does not necessarily have to be an investor as long as you understand that there is still going to be some type of an investment required. But if you are an investor or you're connected to investors, you should be running to the front lines, especially what the country's going through right now, not knowing what things are going to be, because this is the one thing that's already funded, and they just made sure that it's funded through the next several years.
Yes. Yes. And you know, people ask me all the time, what's going to happen because of this new administration? And I have to always go back to, let me see, 2000. Let me see, I got my license in 1996. I started housing homeless veterans in 2004. And then it's been straight up rocket ship from
Mm-hmm.
2007 and still to this day. I have not
Yeah.
seen any administration stop veterans homeless housing. In
They can't.
2007, and then that's when everybody was coming, because in 2008, that's when the homeless veterans housing bill was passed. It was um, re, it came back to life, put it that way, by former President Barack Obama. And when that
Yeah.
when that housing bill was reenacted, literally thousands of veterans started swarming into the VA. I don't know how they got word that we have money for you to move somewhere and you don't have to pay it. Just come on in and let us get you moved. And that's why I wrote this book, Housing Solutions for Homeless Veterans. This book I wrote specifically because during that time, I had to train social workers, case managers, human care professionals. Because think about it, they weren't realtors. Some of those social workers at Jesse Brown VA and Hines VA, they hadn't bought a house in over 30 years. Some of them had never rented an apartment. When they graduated, they went back home to their mom and dad. They hadn't even experienced renting anything. So as a veteran and who was homeless, and as a realtor who had already been housing homeless people years before I came on the scene, I'm like, wait, y'all don't know what you're doing. So come on in the room. Come on in the room. And I started training them. And you know, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can we tell them why it's always a need?
Why is always a need for what?
Can we tell them why there's always going to be money for this? Why I'll say why it's always a need to do this, and why there's always money for it.
Oh,
I can tell them.
Go ahead, because we can piggyback.
Because I wanted to catch you before you changed a couple of points.
Okay.
You know, people say, is it guaranteed, or can I do this, or can it be done, or will there be money? Will there be money for us to come and do it? The answer is yes. To add to what Yvette just said about President Obama's initial order to start to revise these homeless veteran programs, because they used to be there. It just took him to revise it, right? But here's why there will always be money to do it. It's very simple. It incentivizes people to join our military. Y'all see how that works?
Benefits.
Yeah, y'all see how that works? And we want, and I think about, if something like this went away, the last thing the administration wants on their hands is an unmotivated military. Yeah. There is no president powerful enough to override an unmotivated military. What is going to do? Fire everybody? Okay, now what's going to be his backbone? The military is literally the only thing that makes him powerful. And the only way the military is incentivized is knowing that they have these programs available when they become veterans. That's why there will always be money to do this, because it incentivizes the strength of our military to know that they have something to back them up if they fail, or if they fall on hard times when they get out.
Hold on, let me make a point to that, because it does sound real good. And I don't want people thinking that it's going to be easy without your help. Let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. It's an easier process if you all say you want to do veterans homeless housing and you learn the programs to do it, to supply those housing needs in our community. That's what make our job easy, is by educating, consulting, and training you. That's the easy part, as long as you come aboard. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the hard part is this: because we don't have you, we have homeless veterans. Mm-hmm. We have the money is in our communities, but we don't have you. Now, what do I mean by that? We have what's called a program called Section 8. Everybody's heard of Section 8. Well, this is the Housing Choice Voucher. And for those homeless veterans who qualify for this voucher, their rent is paid, sometimes at 100%. Other times, if they have an income, then there's a percentage that they're responsible for paying every month, called a tenant portion. Now, the problem with this is we don't have you, and we have homeless veterans in our community holding this voucher, being told no, that they can't live in other people's properties because they've got to do a credit check and a background check, an eviction check. Oh, and they want to talk to your last landlord. Well, I have a homeless veteran right now in Charlottesville, Virginia, with a 2-bedroom voucher that's $1,901 a month. That will be paid directly to the investor. But we don't have you. She's been holding this voucher since April of 2025. This is now November. Her and her caregiver are living in a tent on the side of a fucking creek outside holding this voucher. So the programs are out there, but you're not. You're not opening your doors. You're not learning how to utilize this program money, the voucher money, the $900 million money, the $4.2 billion money. You want to play patty cake with veterans housing, and it's not a game. I've been telling realtors, and look, Derrick, I got a President's Award by the Main Street Organization of Realtors. I'm a realtor. I've been housing homeless veterans for over 22 years, getting a commission. Homeless veterans housing is real estate, but we don't have you. We don't have the investors. We don't have the knowledgeable realtors. We don't have those investors who say, I want to learn this program, because we can't give you our information by osmosis. You have to learn to do what we do. Buy the book, get the coaching, buy the master classes when we release those, and get on board.
Yeah.
Let me fix my lighting. Continue, Derrick. That's my soapbox for the morning.
No, that's really good. That is so good. That's very, very good. This is why it's so important to connect with people who already understand where the money is coming from, who understand how to tap into it, who understands how to set up compliant systems. Why do I keep throwing that compliance word around? Because that shows the government and your SSVF community partners that you speak their language. Yep. When you are able to speak their language, they are comfortable doing business with you. It also shows that you have done enough due diligence. You've done enough due diligence to be trusted from an empathetic standpoint. So Yvette just talked about playing patty cake with this, right? I think I'm glad she said that, because that reminds me of what I call, once again, the sophisticated hustlers.
Yeah.
Well, let me see if this is going to work. Let me go. I mean, look, last night, and he might be one of the people watching right now.
Yeah.
I received about 6 emails. Now, I typically don't keep going back and forth with people in emails, but I just kept answering, and it's almost like he was like, I want to see if I do it. I want to say, okay, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? What about that? Right? I'm going to tell you, I had said to myself, I set a number. I said, if he sends it the 7th email, I'm going to tell him, this is not for you. I will not consult for you, and I do not recommend you do this. You know why? Because you're playing patty cake. You're seeing if you're saying, I'm doing maybe I might do it. Well, if it works, maybe not. First and foremost, is the money guaranteed? Yeah, it is, but that's if you go through the process to understand what the needs are, the programs, and to understand how to be compliant. Because what that showed me, this gentleman who sent the 6, 7 emails last night, that showed me that he is on the fence, which means you don't really give a damn about veterans. And I'm going to tell you, as a 3-time combat veteran, there's not enough money you can give me if you don't actually care. And here's why. See, most people would say that is emotional business. But here's why it's not emotional. You know why? Because if you don't care, that means you have no character energy. You have no moral code invested in your business practices. Yes. And guess what? If you don't have a moral compass involved in your business practices, it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
I can show if we had time, I can show you all of the people all of the wannabe millionaires and billionaires who did not last because they were just in it for the money.
Let me tell you, hold on, because I got one. I got a real good one about that. So that's that side of it, because you're the contract and procurement side. Listen to the real estate side of those shady business owners in real estate. Those are called slumlords. Slumlords. I've seen over the years this one investor on the north side, and on the north side of Chicago, that rent is 150% times more than the inner city. Those areas are called opportunity areas, not opportunity zones. That's different. Opportunity areas or mobility areas. And these areas have a lower crime rate, a high walkable high walkable rate to various stores that you need in your life. The schools rank higher, that's what brings in the higher rent. And all of his properties were located in that 150% more times the rent, times the fair market rent. All of them. Guess where he went wrong? He was a slumlord. And I'm talking about he might have had 900 units. Do the math. If each rental unit was 2,100 times 900 a month, and he lost that contract because he was a slumlord. So there, you have to do this business of housing homeless veterans as a program to get the contracts to be a beneficiary of other prime contracts, to become your own prime. But you have to do it the right way. You know what I want? That just reminded me, one of my female veterans. She came to several workshops, and she said, "Oh, Yvette, you so nice." And not until we went to the closing table is when she honestly opened up to tell me. She said, "Yvette, I thought you were just nice. I didn't really know you knew what you were doing. You knew your stuff." I'm like, who does that?
Right.
You see my awards from Congress, from the Senate, from the state, from the city, from the Main Streets organizations of realtors. You think I just do this for fun? This is real business. I am nice though, but I am about the business. Continue, Derrick.
That's so good. That's good. No, that was that. Look, I don't know if I don't. Look, this is a pivotal point in the conversation. I don't really know if there's anything to add to that, because that's pretty much what they needed to hear. Whatever everyone needs to hear, what that aspect is regard. But in regard to that, But I will say this though. If I backtrack a little bit, you mentioned the whole contract aspect. Here's where compliance and this is my expertise speaking, where the compliance aspect meets compliance and capital meets contracts. Here's why I like to talk to the investors, because capacity is so big with this. So many different directions I want to go with this, but your government loves capacity. Here's why. because it speaks to it shows that you are ready to serve the community. Look, one house is good, but it doesn't necessarily with some contracting offices, and I say some offices because there are there are dozens of different contracting offices within the VA system around the country. Some of those offices don't care to get into long-term contracts with people who can't provide a lot of units, a lot of houses, meaning let's say at least 12 houses, right? Let's say 12 duplexes. 12 duplexes. Imagine what you can do with that, especially if you do the co-living model, right? To where you have, let's say, I don't know, let's say if you have 12 four-bedroom duplexes, right? And you say, okay, we're going to do two people per room or even one person per room. That's still a lot of potential there. You can do a whole lot with that. And that is typically when the VA is ready to say, okay, you know what? These people stand out from everyone else doing the veteran housing, the homeless veteran business model. The fact that they can do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 duplexes, they are now trying to build a community. This really helps us solve a problem. So
Yeah.
this is why a lot of times when we're talking to investors, I always say, even if you're coming with one or two properties, if you can show the intent to scale and that you actually have the capacity to expand and expand and expand, once that capital starts flowing, once that starts coming in, you are a prime candidate to actually take your SSVF homeless veteran program and go and actually pivot into the actual contracting space. It's funny. I right here at my gym in Pecan Grove, which is a suburb of a suburb to Houston. So Houston's one of those, it's Houston. For those who don't understand, it's New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston. Those are the four. Those are your four. Those are the big four, the four largest cities in America. It's funny. Yvette's in Chicago. I'm in
New
Houston.
York,
Two
Chicago.
of the four largest cities. Well, when you're in cities like these, you not only have suburbs, you have suburbs to the suburbs. So we have Houston,
Oh,
then we have Richmond, Texas,
yep.
which is a suburb to Houston. Then Pecan Grove, which is where I live, which is a suburb to the suburb of Richmond, which is a suburb to Houston. My gym right here in my neighborhood. There's a gentleman by the name of Kelly. There's actually three Kellys I know who are contracting officers in three different agencies. So you can't just, oh, let me find out who Kelly is. You don't even know how to spell it, right? But Kelly and I work out together. Every time we meet up in a gym, he always asks me, you got somebody? Remember our conversation? We are looking for people who want to actually build the SSDF program that can actually qualify for a contract. This man is literally telling me that if I bring him someone who can function at that level, that means someone who has the ability to buy enough houses or an apartment community, right? He is literally telling me that he pretty much will be able to create contracting opportunities. And you know why he can do that? Because see, usually you can't speak that language. But here's why, because there's no one else in this area right now who's actually trying to do it like that. So because of that, he can create what's called a sole source opportunity.
Yeah. Then guess what? We need to put a call out to those interested investors who want to do a program for
In the
this
Houston area.
in the Houston area.
And Houston has no zoning.
Houston, where
This is
y'all
a
at?
give me. This is a give me. No zoning.
Yeah. Wow.
So
That's
this,
a huge savings right there.
mhm,
And then if
no
you're a vet,
zoning.
then if you are a veteran owned business, there's also the opportunity of a I don't do those consultations. You can, but I don't. Of helping a veteran get set up, becoming an SDVOSB, service disabled veteran owned small business, for your housing. You know, we are already that. So, you know, we would be, initial Derrick gets all that set up. So I can't talk about that. I do the program.
Well, for a limited time anyway, because I was telling them, in fact, in 2025, in 2026, I'm going to be shutting down a lot of the phone consultations in which we sit on the phone and teach you how to do this step by step. Because I'm going to be transitioning into courses and into courses and books.
Hello.
Look. You know what's funny? Myron Golden said, Myron Golden, when I had a conversation with Myron Golden, I had a chance to, and I paid the money. I paid the money to go to Myron Golden's program, and then I paid the extra money to be able to ask direct questions. There was a list for people who wanted specific questions answered, and he told me, he said, you need to stop having long phone conversations, stop trading time for money, create a funnel. If anybody who follows Myron Golden, he's always talking about create a funnel. He said, create a funnel and send people to a course. Now you have that course set. We'll have that course set up on a platform in which we can go and add update information, insert videos based on what people want to hear about the most. But what was funny, Yvette, he had me laughing when he said this. He said, I don't like getting on the phone and having long phone conversations. So he said, so I send everybody to a course. And if they want to have an actual phone consultation, he said, I throw the price so high that they don't want to do it. He said, so they got to pay me he says they have to pay him like $40,000 to get him on the phone and have an actual ongoing consultation. He said, but what's funny, he said, what aggravates him is that there are those who still show up and pay the $40,000. And he threw the price that high in hopes that people wouldn't want to do it.
Right. And you know, that's why I stopped talking on the phone. People think I'm rude when I tell them I don't talk on the phone about this business. You want to learn to do what you say you want to do. I've already wrote the books. I've already put the directory together. So go to my bookstore and buy a book. And when my master classes come out, then you take those classes, because nobody has time to be on the phone talking to anybody for hours. I can't do that anymore. That, you know, having I had a COVID and a stroke. And for me to talk on the phone with, and I'm not talking about anybody, but I am saying this about people because you don't have the knowledge. And when people get on the phone, they want all the knowledge that you have in that short phone call conversation. And it's aggravating to me as a professional, and I'm sure it's aggravating to you as a professional, because you're not getting everything you think you should be getting in that phone call. So my first step for you is to buy a book and then buy the master class. That's it. This is the whole platform. You come here to learn how to engage with the community and do things the right way. And the right way is to, you know, do your veteran shared housing or do your Section 8 housing, but we're really talking about veteran shared housing. And then you get set up through our program to be a program to receive to apply for these grants for this federal funding through the government. And now your properties, your business is being financed through the government. So your first book is this one, A Guide to Veteran Shared Housing Model. For realtors, and they did a really nice commercial on me, Derrick, at the Main Street Organization of Realtors for Veterans Day, talking to realtors with holding this book right here in my hand. And that I'm a real estate instructor. So anybody, any organizations out there, you want to hire me to come and do your real estate, and you're not going to receive CEs unless you pay for that license. I'm not paying for all these licenses to come and do one class or just do the class. You know what? I'm going to do this as a master class. Forget about even trying to get it licensed again. So, but that's it. Education, knowledge, and then you put your boots on the ground. Derrick, what are you doing?
Actually, putting notes together based on this conversation.
It's
I'm
going to be
typing and listening.
okay.
As always.
Good.
As
All
always.
right, tell them how you want to be contacted.
They can contact me a couple ways. First and foremost, I always, and this is going to speak to everything Yvette just said. I'm a pianist, so I can literally listen and type, just like playing music and following a singer, like playing in church and following a singer. That's why I'm able to type and listen to Yvette. I'm literally following her as she types. But based on the things she just said, right? The first way you can contact me is go to GovCon Empire.
Oh, yeah.
With Derrick Green on YouTube. Here's why. GovCon Empire. Okay, and that's one word, GOVCON, Empire.
Hold on.
And it's also in my title right here, right? GovCon Empire with Derrick Green. And I'm going to tell you why and how that ties into everything Yvette was just talking about. And something that she kept referencing throughout this session and why it's important. Because I tell you, Yvette, one of the people don't understand the thing that is keeping people broke, the thing that's keeping investors in high volatility, shaky investments, the things that's keeping investors in unstable investment situations is the same thing that keeps a lot of the other people who want to do this broke. Low attention spans. They want a quick 3 to 5 minute sermon on setting up a compliant veteran housing program, and government contracting play. Well, guess what? It does not exist. This is not for people with short attention spans. If you have a short attention span, go open a CMOS truck or a T-shirt stand. You know what I mean? If you don't like reading, if you don't like listening to content on videos, go open a T-shirt stand or a quick, those little stands with all of the fake smoothies. That's really not giving any real nutrition anyway, because they're not chopping up real fruit back there, right? So anyway, don't go, Yvette. Look, you have better eating habits than me. You know better than that. Don't go to those places. Don't go to them. But here's how all that ties into Yvette's question on how you can contact me. First, go to GovCon Empire with Derrick Green on YouTube, and here's why. Because that video library that's there, it teaches you the importance of overall compliance, how to understand the government language and why they communicate a certain way, and how your company, it gives strategy on different ways to set your business up just to speak to the government in general. That is going to help you with this. And if you go to the channel, it will make that much sense when you reach out to me. Just go to type in any of those videos, listen to 5. Yep, that's it. Any of those videos, listen for 3 to 5 minutes. You don't have to even stay on the whole video. In fact, most of the videos already got timestamps in the description. Problem is, most people, they're not even typing a video description. That's lazy. You will not succeed if you're lazy. If you don't have enough tenacity to at least click on that button that says description. Now, other way you can contact me is Derrick.Green at skyprojectmanagement.com. That's Derrick, DERRICK.GREEN at Just how it sounds, skyprojectmanagement.com. But guess what? That email address is available to you on the GovCon Empire with Derrick Green YouTube channel as well. But if you go to that channel first, it will make a whole lot more sense when you are ready to reach out for consultations.
Yeah, let's leave that channel so we can build your channel people up too. Because yeah, you're welcome. People need to hear this, and yeah, they need to hear this. And I don't understand. I guess I get it. Everybody's looking for something quick, fast, and easy, and this is not that. This is business, and if you're new to this, then you have to get educated. And I'm always going to lead back to that, Derrick. I told you a while back, I said, I'm not going to be talking on the phone with these people. I stopped those, what was it, 30-minute consultations. I don't have them anymore. You're not going to call me. And that's when I started writing. I'm like, okay, now you want to have a consultation, go read the book first. And then that way I'll know you have some knowledge. And then, we have a better playing field. But this is the longest career I've ever been in my 60 years of living. And this has been, I would say, maybe 25 years. But before that, it was all leading up to this. And it has been only beautiful, even with all the ups and downs. Because now, I get to sit in this seat and house homeless veterans. That's a wonderful feeling. Even for investors who only want to make the money, you're going to feel different about that once you start seeing that you can change people's lives through housing.
And that's the very thing that's going to allow you to scale to higher heights.
Yeah. It's not just opening a door, here's a bed. This is life changing. And you become a sought after investor once you learn to do that. I've seen it. I've put investors in position and they thank me to this day. One investor, he's in my books. He says, Yvette, you changed the landscape of my real estate business. He didn't know where he was going to get all those tenants from in 400 units, 400 apartments. Now you got to go hustle and you're against all these other buildings in the city. We have a lot of multi-unit residential commercial buildings, 36 units, 50 units, 60 units. Where are you going to get all of those tenants from? Who's going to be paying you rent every single month on time without giving you problems with money? Where are you going to get all those people from? So my investors over the years have said, okay, Vet, I got 400 units. What can you help me with? Well, give me 50% of those units. Got them all filled. Have investors with 5,000 units. Over time, just filling them up. It's a beautiful thing. So that's what investors or those who say they want to work with homeless veterans will see in my upcoming masterclass, is how, as an investor, a program can be created for your investment property. Well, in this first masterclass, my first masterclass, Derrick, is working with investors using Section 8. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you all how this all adds into getting contracts with the federal government starting out with just housing veterans on Section 8. So I've done it. So they become project-based. Now you have a whole 40-unit complex with all veterans, first of all. I did it in the vortex here in Chicago during that cold winter. All of them. Colbert, that's another name form of the Section 8 voucher. Colbert, those veterans were in nursing homes because they had no other place to keep them. They had no other housing for them. So the veterans who are in nursing homes who said, I don't want to be in the nursing home, I want my own apartment. I can function as a normal, regular human. So they were issuing out all of those Colbert vouchers.
Yeah.
They went to that 40 units. On top of that, the HUD-VASH voucher was still being issued out, were still being granted to homeless veterans. So they went to those 40 units. After it was all said and done, his whole building was Section 8 out. What do you do with that? You know, they can stay there with that voucher, or you can put in to have this place. It's a section, what was it called? Where it is now, oh shoot, I'm talking so fast and so much the words are skipping me. It is project based now. So if a veteran moves out with their voucher, now that unit can accept another veteran who doesn't even have a voucher, because now that unit is based on another contract. The project based. I mean, there's so many things you can do as an investor, but that's not what I'll be helping you set up. I'll be helping you use to fill up your buildings using a HUD-VASH voucher or Colbert or any of the SSVF funding. There's so many ways. When I stopped being a realtor that went and opened doors, and I had to find a new way of continuing to serve in this homeless veterans community. And that's when I started writing. Y'all need to read some books and learn how to do what you say you want to do.
That's it. So important.
Well, we have been on here a long time, almost an Derrick, we have to do this more often. You're so busy.
Well, we're going to prioritize this. We're going to prioritize this because I'm learning more and more that it's needful, and it will these types of conversations alleviate a lot of wasted consulting time. I'll say the pre-consulting. You want to pay, if you're going to be spending money on consulting, you want to do that. You want to set that up to where you have that tied to a large project that you're already going after based on what you learned from Yvette's books.
So remember, Derrick. Oh, we love the large projects, right? We want all of your large projects so we can convert them into programs and funding. We want them all, but we don't want to miss.
Also.
Thank you. Yeah, we also want you who is just now getting started with your one unit, and you see the big picture.
Yes.
You see the 400 units coming. You see the 600. You see the veterans village of single family homes or of duplexes. You see that.
Yes.
But you got to start somewhere. And that's with knowledge. So we could wrap this up. I mean, this is like us just regularly talking on the phone. That's why I say we need to do this when let's do this, Derrick, but it has to be on a time when I'm scheduled or you schedule your live. Before we have our phone conversations, we need to say, okay, we're going to schedule a live for our phone conversation, because this is all we talk about. We talk about helping the community help us and our veterans. That's what we talk. That's our main concern as former homeless veterans ourselves, as veterans, former homeless veterans, procurement officer, veterans realtor, business owners. That's what we talk about, because it's about engaging the community and enhancing the community, especially those who
Yes.
say we shouldn't have homeless veterans. I talked about this yesterday on Veterans Day, 2 days ago. And I asked the question, how many of you said, thank you for your service? And I'm sure a lot of people did and didn't even know you were thanking a homeless veteran for their service. But you
Yeah.
can't even do anything about them in their time of need. So what's the thank for? You thanking them for protecting you while you slept, while you took your kids to school, you know, while you did your everyday thing. There were no assaults on you from another country. There were no assaults on you, you know, inside here. You know, I can't do nothing about that. But we protected you while you were sleeping. What's the help and the protection for us as a homeless veteran? Really, what can you do? And that's what we're here to help you understand and start engaging us in that, helping you facilitate that as consultants. So please don't call me. The way you get in touch with me, you can email me what you want to do, and I'll send you back a response via email. And just like today, Derrick, we got an email from St. Louis. There's an investor in St. Louis who has, I believe, 8 doors in 2 fourplex units that are totally rehabbed and they're ready, right? So I sent her because she wants to do veterans housing. And in this book, A Guide to Veterans Shared Living Models, it also includes HUD-VASH and SSVF funding. So you need to read this book to determine what type of veterans housing you want to engage in, because it's all different levels. If you only want HUD-VASH for those units, then you're providing a rental, straight rental. You can go home. Right. You can send your maintenance man or your lawn service once a week and, you know, tidy up the place, but that's their place. You don't have the right to go inside their place and do nothing unless they call or email you for a service request. Or there's an emergency that you need to inform them of, and you need to let them know when you're coming. Okay. And it's not the same day unless it's a fire emergency or water. Right. So now that's simple, you know, Section 8 rental. But if you say, okay, I've got these 2 fourplexes, I've got 2 bedrooms in each of these fourplexes, and I want, you know, 2 people in each of the bedrooms, then you have to know how to set up that model. They're not bringing beds. They're not bringing their own sheets or their own table ware. They're not bringing their own linen, toilet paper. They're not bringing anything with them. So you have to know how to set up your housing. That's not for us to tell you what to do. You have to educate yourself on what's in the community and what you can offer, what you feel comfortable in operating as a business. Because now you have to be on site. You have to hire somebody to help these veterans. Now you have a program that you're running so that you can get federal, state, or local funds.
That's right.
What this teaches you, it's not just, I want to do veterans housing. So the way you connect,
you want to have purpose. You want to have purpose behind it. Purpose.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's a lot, but it's doable. I don't see anything in, it's doable. It's purpose driven real estate. Yeah. All right, I'm getting ready to go. It's almost been 2 hours.
That's right.
Derrick, we do this all the time. We just have these, I'm telling you, we just have these conversations.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes too. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here.
Trust me. I'll be right back.
Okay, good. So I'm on every day, Monday through Friday, for everybody listening on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok, 5 p.m. Central. It's boots on the ground. Today's episode is typically 1 hour, and I talk about what's in one of the publications in detail. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But for this hour, we needed to hear this. We needed to hear
Yes.
this to clear the air and knock out some of those misconceptions and just lack of
Yes.
knowledge of what veterans housing really is and how you can tie that veterans housing into government spending for you to
Yes.
receive every month. Do something good in the neighborhood and not just say, oh, thank you for your service. I'm like, you're welcome. I need, what can you help me with? So that's it for me. Thank y'all for watching. I am Yvette Jones-Swanson, the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate, Realtor, Consultant, and Professional Services in the GovCon space and in the public sector.
Yes.
That's a long title.
I know.
That's what I do.
That's right. That's right.
What you do, man?
Well, Derrick Green, former procurement and contracting officer, who also has a special focus in veteran housing, specifically for those who want to transition into the contract management and procurement phase or procurement pipeline. Certified public procurement officer, contracting, compliance strategist. What I do mainly is focus on taking businesses, whatever it is you want to do, and bringing you into alignment so that you can be a compliant, or rather, we use compliance to bring you into alignment with the very infrastructure where capital is already flowing. That way, you don't have to hop around wondering what the next money grab is going to be. We take what you already have and use compliance systems, teach you compliance to bring that into alignment with the infrastructure pipelines that are already happening.
Exactly. And how
All
do
that.
you get there with Derrick? You have to
Yep.
have a program. You have to
Have a
have
program.
the housing. So you got
The
to see
house,
me first.
basically the business. You
A
have to have the
business.
business. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got it going on. Come on now. Come on in the room. Thanks for being here, Derrick.
It's a
So
pleasure. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Let's get our schedule together and we will let everybody know. I'll send out a huge email to the constant contact that's building from TikTok, from YouTube, and then I have another where whenever someone goes to my website, they have to enter their name and email address to join that mailing list. So that's a whole nother list. So let's just keep educating, and I'll see you tonight at what, 7 or 8, so we can resume with your book that's to be released.
That's it. Yes.
Thank you very much. All right. Derrick, I'm a writer. I have my first contract. I know. Did I tell you about it? Did I tell you about it? Okay. Besides me writing and compiling, hold on, all of these books right here that's in my library, y'all can go get some and learn some stuff so we could really do some great business together. But I have a contract to write on, get this, ain't change a thing, on writing for the for the veterans housing and homeless communities nationwide. Yes. What I already do. And this is going to be, so they're paying me for what I'm already doing in the community and adding it to the national platform that they have created to get this word out that what we're talking about right here in what's going on in our homeless veterans community, where the money is, and how you can get involved in housing our homeless veterans with love, dignity, and respect, ethically, and acquiring contracts, working with this gentleman right here, the real deal Holyfield, Derrick Green. Hold on, let me put that back on here. So I am so excited about that. And my first story will be my homeless journey to housing over 5,000 homeless veterans.
Yes.
That's the first story. Man, you know,
and
I
counting.
get and counting.
And counting.
I get so emotional. Oh, we done dropped everybody. They say, okay, they talk too much. But it's okay. We got the clips.
That's right. That's right.
So, but I get so emotional talking about the what's really happening, because I'm in communication with these people, with these homeless veterans.
Yeah.
And I get emotional and angry at the community for not doing their part.
Yes. Yeah.
The real estate community for having all of these blockades. I mean, they had homeless veterans with vouchers have to jump over walls that are burning on fire in order to get approved. How are you going to approve a veteran who's been homeless for a 600 credit score or income, because you don't know how to calculate 3 times the rent? It's by their tenant portion, whatever they're responsible for paying. Then you multiply that by 3. Can they afford that? You know, so if they're responsible for paying $100, then their monthly income should be $300, not the other way around.
That's right.
So, you know, they're being denied that. They're being denied credit. They're being denied income. They're being denied, where did you last live? And we can't get in touch with your last landlord. Well, the last landlord might have evicted me. So now you have an eviction on your credit, and you were evicted because you had no benefits as a veteran at that time. But now you do. Now you do. But you're getting denied because of your past circumstances.
Yeah.
So to me, that's discrimination on veterans' fair housing with the voucher. They're being denied access to housing.
Yep.
So that's the housing bill I wrote.
That's good. That needed to be written. That needed to be written because, you know, I talk about this all the time. There are a lot of investors. Once again, that number is 80 to 90% now. It's close to 90% of investors fail. And the problem is they are allowing their investments to be tied up into outdated metrics. So, for example, I'll give an example of that. They will invest in a community, and they'll say, "Okay, you know what? We're gonna go to HUD-VASH route. We want to prioritize veterans who are qualified for the HUD-VASH program, right?" Well, in that, they'll have property managers requiring these people to have a 650 credit score.
Yeah.
Not realizing, look, dummies, the money is guaranteed. It's coming from a program that already has set aside funding designated for communities who serve veterans.
Okay, let me piggyback on that from the real estate community. Now, that could be considered discrimination, fair housing, because if they have that policy, that their policy is every applicant has to do a credit check, a background check, an eviction check, whatever they have their policy on. So if a veteran comes there with a voucher, they cannot say, well, we're not going to do this because you have this and you're a homeless veteran and we know you're going to get the guaranteed funds. That's why I wrote the housing bill. That's why I wrote the housing bill. You understand? So this veteran has this voucher. They're a veteran. This has to be a protected class. The veterans with the voucher and with other guaranteed funding for that unit.
Got it. I see.
Right. You see, so now you're not taking them through the normal route because they didn't come to you through the normal route.
Got it.
That's what the housing bill is to protect. I do it all the time. That's how I was able to house over 5,000 homeless veterans, because I didn't take them that normal route. If your housing policy states you have to do this, then I can't work with you. You're not good for my program. You're not. So now I have to find other investors with large capital or small investors who say, this is my property. I can do what I want to do. You are who I'm looking for. You are who we're looking for. So drop us your information. That's how you get the money, by not having all of these roadblocks.
That's it.
That's when you fail. My investors, I can call them today and ask for anything. Okay, Yvette, I got you, because they know what they're going to get. And that's why they haven't failed. The only one who did fail, they got lazy. And they did something, and I got the word, and I called the owner. And I'm like, look, dude, down here on this side of town, this is what happened in this apartment, and it affected the veteran downstairs. Oh, let me look into it. Oh, we put a big fan down there. It's just going to dry everything up. Well, that wasn't good enough. So now you got a red check. That's bad. Something else happened. Hey, listen, I need you to curtail whatever that is going on over there. And this is one of my investors who had thousands of units. Thousands. They came to Chicago like gangbusters. And we had master keys for all the buildings. And they lost that engagement with the VA. They could not house any more veterans.
Wow.
I'm like, you see what you did? You see what you did? Yeah, so they learned that lesson. So one of he was the chief operating officer at that last company, and now he's the CEO of another company, and I engaged with them a couple of years ago on a $99,000 contract. That I'm like, okay, remember what happened before? Remember? And he said, yep, Yvette, I remember. I said, okay, let's not do that again. But what did they do? They did something else. And I'm like, what happened? You know, it's like every week I'm housing 5 to 10 veterans in their I'm like, what did you do? He said, Yvette, we had to fire so-and-so.
Wow.
What? That's what happened. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I thought he was doing so well. Why did he do that? Wow. So they lost, not just with the VA, they lost the ability to house to the entire HCV office in the city of Chicago. Yeah. So let me tell you something. There are things that investors need to know. And in order to get this information, you just have to work with the professional. I'm done, Derrick. It's 2:00. 2 hours. And
I'm done too. It sounds good to me. Well, let's pick back up later.
At 5:15, you coming back? All right. I'll see you then. And let's try to do both platforms, because you could have been streaming on TikTok too. So let's figure that out. how we
Okay.
can
Okay.
utilize all four, because right now they're just listening to us.
Got it. Okay.
But we're streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and I'm going to tag you and also share this video and put your email in the description, since I don't want to be lazy. And I keep saying I got to, because I've got 500 videos now. So now I got to go back and put descriptions. I was trying it. I said, okay, I want to use the same description because it's like the same clip from the video.
Yeah.
That's what I might do, is do a blanket description, because you touched that nerve that I was thinking about anyway. I'm like, okay, just like the book that's going to be released.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank y'all. Bye.
That's our ending. Oh, let me play a video. Hold on. Let me play a video. I got to put on my specs. Ciao for now.
Across America, too many of our heroes return home only to face another battle, the fight for stable housing. Veterans are overrepresented in the homeless population, often caught in a system that is complex, slow, and full of barriers. At VetMentors, we're changing that narrative. For over 20 years, we've been boots on the ground, not just identifying the problem, but building real solutions. That's why we created the U.S. Military Veterans Educational and Resource Guide book series, a groundbreaking collection designed to educate, equip, and empower. These guidebooks are written not only for veterans, but also for the communities, organizations, and leaders who serve them. From step-by-step housing models to funding strategies, this series gives social workers, case managers, realtors, and first responders the tools they need to act with speed, dignity, and impact. VetMentors believes housing is not charity. It's a mission, a responsibility, and a pathway to restoring honor. Every guidebook in this series is a resource designed to make sure no veteran is left behind, and no community has to say, "We didn't know how to help." This is how we turn challenges into victories. I'm Yvette Jones-Swanson, Army veteran, CEO of VetMentors LLC, and I invite you to join us in rewriting the story for America's veterans.